Hello and welcome, I'm Sean Fox, this is Made to Ramble, and well, I haven't made one of these videos in quite a while. A tech-related video, that is. I generally prefer using my camera gear rather than just talking about it, and so I've lately been more focused on the travel stuff. But just in the last couple of months, I've made a few changes that I thought might be a worthwhile subject for this video. So the question is, why on earth would I sell a 42 megapixel Sony full-frame beast, the a7R II, and buy this instead? This is the Sony a6400. Let's talk about it. Okay, so let me say first up that while I enjoy photography and I continue to improve in that area, it's not really my primary focus, and therein lies the answer, really. 42 megapixels is awesome. The detail that you can capture is pretty incredible. You can crop right in and still have plenty of resolution to work with. Comparatively, the a6400 is only a 24 megapixel camera, but I'm mostly focused on videos. I rarely make large prints of the photos that I do take, and so that extra resolution doesn't really mean that much to me. I mean, 4K is really only equivalent to about 8 megapixel. But full frame produces better quality, I hear you say. Well, stop interrupting my videos, you imaginary viewer. Alas, most of my viewers are imaginary, but you are kind of right. Ordinarily, a full frame would be better in low light with less noise in your image, larger pixels and all of that, but there's a weird peculiarity when it comes to the a7R II. It produces lower quality video in full frame than it does in crop mode thanks to pixel binning. It's much noisier at higher ISOs in full frame than what it is in Super 35mm. The image is actually kind of soft in full frame, but it still looks pretty fantastic in Super 35mm, and then you've got all that extra resolution to play with when you're taking photos. So why on earth would I decide to buy the a6400 instead? Price? Not really. I sold the a7R II for around 2,000 Australian dollars, while the a6400 costs about 1,500 new, but by the time I switched around some lenses, particularly because I need OSS with the a64 not having IBIS, that price difference winds up being pretty negligible. Size? Yeah, it's definitely smaller. A little too small, to be honest, which is why I purchased the L bracket with this wooden handle. But, you know, some of these lenses are really small, so I can keep a lower profile when out and about, I guess. But the truth is, neither of those are really the reason. So there are actually three reasons why I went with the Sony a6400. The front-facing screen, which is so nice to have after having used the a7R II for so long. There's no record limit for video. I do a little event videography from time to time, particularly live music, so having that 29-minute record limit was an absolute pain in the ass. Last but definitely not least is the video autofocus. The a7R II being a few years older, while it did have phase detect autofocus, really wasn't all that reliable. Now the a6500, which came out not that long after the a7R II, had much better autofocus, and then the cameras since then have just gotten better and better. This a6400 has fantastic video autofocus. So the truth is, I already have a nearly perfect camera for video. It's filming me right now. It's the Panasonic GH5. With 4K 10-bit 422, the video quality is amazing. It can do a 4K 60, which is really handy for slowing the footage down that little bit, and it can even do 180 frames per second at 1080p for some serious slow motion footage. Has a nice flip out screen, all the picture profiles you could possibly want, an awesome menu system. Yeah, it's a little bulky, I'll admit, but it's very definition of user-friendly. Unfortunately, the autofocus is not great. It gets better with each firmware update, but it's still not even close to the Sony autofocus system. So with the Sony, I was looking for something a little smaller, travel-sized, with little lenses that are still capable of producing shallow depth of field. something that I can mount easily on a gimbal, something with a front-facing screen so I can see what I'm doing when I talk to camera like this, something with great autofocus, also for those times that I'm not behind the camera. The A6400 just fitted the bill perfectly, but there are a few sacrifices. No 10-bit 422, of course. Not that this really matters much for travel. I mean, all of these videos are just ending up on YouTube anyway. I'm still stuck with the smaller Sony batteries, but I've already got a heap of these batteries anyway. And when I'm trying to film something long form like event videography or time lapses, I tend to use a power bank plugged into the camera anyway, so that I don't have to keep changing batteries. By far the biggest sacrifice for me was the IBIS, and I do really miss that. The Sony E-mount has some of the best APS-C lenses available. The Sigma 16mm 1.4, I would love that lens. The 30mm and the 56mm both look fantastic as well. But without IBIS, it means that I'm having to rely on stabilized lenses, and unfortunately, I'm pretty limited in the options where that's concerned. That said though, that can be a good thing and a bad thing. It means I'm not kind of spoiled for choice, and there are some pretty decent stabilized lenses available. I have here, of course, the 16 to 50mm kit lens. It's a pretty handy little travel sized lens if ever there was one. The 35mm 1.8, that's a pretty nice stabilized lens which is capable of giving me shallow depth of field. And really handy for travel is this, the 18 to 105, which is kind of an f4 super zoom if you like. Could there be a more perfect lens for travel? So far I have taken this camera with me to Albany and Bluff Knoll. I'll be putting those videos up soon. I've also used it in a couple of recent projects. Wouldn't say I've had a chance to put it through all its paces, but I am starting to get a good feel for what it's capable of. So I'm planning to post a couple more videos soon around this same topic. I thought I might play with using the cheapy telephoto kit lens for a bit of wildlife photography, videography. I thought I also might compare that to something a little larger and more expensive. I also thought that I'd put together a video talking about the 18 to 105. Could this lens be the only one you need? Probably not. I'm also planning to put out a video soon testing out the RealSteady Go app for stabilizing GoPro footage in post. I'm really keen to see how that does, particularly underwater, as I haven't seen a lot of examples of that, and I've always found it difficult to get steady usable footage underwater, so hopefully that might be just the solution. So yeah, that's about it for this video. We're starting a new year, and I'm hoping we'll get out to do a little more traveling soon. Looking at doing Cambodia, Vietnam and Korea this year potentially, but I'll update you on those later. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and don't forget to hit that bell icon for notifications when a new video is coming out. Check out the MadeToRamble.com website. We're finally starting to add some new content onto there. It's one of our New Year's resolutions, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks so much for watching.